Man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to this light. It's just so bright, just stares into my soul. Well, that wraps up trading for today. I ran the scanner this morning. We had several lead gappers, but overall the scanner wasn't overpopulated. So I was kind of excited. I thought, today has a lot of potential. Plus the SPY wasn't really moving. So the markets were, up, down a little bit. Great day for small caps overall. The problem was there wasn't, I would say, a clear lead gapper. And I think that led to a little bit of choppiness out of the gates. And then we kind of felt that choppiness kind of continue throughout the morning. At least that's what I was feeling. It still was a really good day, and SGBX ended up being the lead gapper that actually ripped really nicely. It was kind of a short-lived rip and it pulled back pretty quickly, but then we scored three really interesting, not all of them were super nice, but overall very profitable dip buys. Our other lead gapper, PHIO, really just kind of sold off all day. I had much higher expectations, huge sell-off, and then it was kind of a nice bounce and then kind of consolidated in this area and not really doing too much anymore. So we're going to talk about that one on the charts as well. There's definitely some really good stocks to be talking about today. There is though one that I have to talk about, and it was just so devastating. TOPS absolutely crushed one of my pre-market limit orders that should have not really been there. It was more of a leftover trade from yesterday that I didn't get filled because the price, kind of approached it and then bounced up, and then that trade would have kind of happened and I would have closed it and I would have stopped looking at TOPX. But I still had my limit order there where it should have got, triggered. And that was a big mistake on my end. I almost always remove these limit orders unless, it's a big lead gapper, it's over, $1 or $2, and I'm looking for a bounce near major support resistance. But this one, it was sub dollar, kind of shady. The long-term chart, I'm gonna show you guys in a second, is just horrible. I mean, you don't even want to look at it. And then news came out pre-market that they were dumping shares into the market at about 0.2 cents, and this thing crashed like 67%. And on the way, there was my limit order, and I think I closed that trade out for like a 30% loss, which is I think maybe one of my biggest losses, or at least in October we had October we had a pretty big loss as well. So I think it's competing with that. The P&L wasn't that bad, but I don't know. You'll see this trade in a second. There's a few lessons though from it, and I'm going to talk about that on the charts as well. But really quickly, I want you guys to think about this when we talk about TOPS. One, proper allocation, proper account allocation, and that's one thing that really kept me totally at ease when I was watching this trade, and I was down like 30-40% at one point. I never was really too stressed, and that's because I have what I think is pretty good day trading allocation. So no one trade will ever ruin my account. And sometimes you have great winners, sometimes you have flash crashes, you get halted in. It happens, but over time it kind of evens out. As long as you have your base hits and you take your profits quickly, cut your losses quickly, and overall, our winning percentage is about 60%, and that's how we grow our account consistently. So sometimes you have these kind of tail end accidents. I guess you could say it really shouldn't mess your game up long term. Overall, I should have stuck to my strategy a little bit better, and that's definitely one mistake. I kind of I didn't really think it through. I just kind of left this limit order out, and then boom, I got caught on the wrong side of that trade. I did close the position out in hindsight too early. It bounced up 50%, and I could have capitalized a bit more on that move to the upside. But at that point, hope was my strategy, right? It could have also pulled back much more. So you just don't know. And I don't like when hope is my strategy, so I just closed out this position, and I was pretty happy about that. I don't really regret it. Yeah, in hindsight, I could have made a bit more back, but I would have never been green on this trade. It was lost to begin with. One really good thing to keep in mind is just 99% of these small caps that we are trading they're not their next Tesla. They're not an investment. They're not AT&T. They're not some blue chip company. They are a lot of them are biotechs. They bleed cash like crazy. They're very volatile, and almost all of them end up at zero. It's very small that any of these actually make it. So when you go in with the mindset that whatever you're trading might be up on the day, but most likely tomorrow it's going to be back down, definitely allows, that's one thing that I had to really kind of switch on in my head. And once I totally grasped that concept, it took, I don't know, I feel like it took several years. I mean, I understood it kind of like in the first few months of trading, like when I first started, like 2013 or something. I gotta really think about this. Once I really internalized the fact that these companies, these small caps, these gap and go strategy kind of stocks, kind of momentum plays, you only trade them for 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 days, and after that, I mean, you've seen what happened with APR and last week just fell off a cliff. So when you understand that a lot of these stocks just go to zero, it's very easy to cut your losses because you're like, wow, it wasn't that bad. I'll move on. I'll live to trade another day. This one didn't work out, so just got to move on from there. That's kind of how I felt about this one. It was a big loss, but our account is still growing and everything is totally fine. And we had some really nice trades after the market opened, and we only ended the day with like a $200 something loss. So today was actually kind of an okay day. It just that one morning pre-market accident. So it was kind of a rough way to start the day, the trading day, but overall it wasn't really that bad. So let's review that one. It's a shocker, but let's review that one. Let's review the other ones. Let's go to the charts now. Like always, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoy this content. And if you're totally new here, consider subscribing. I would love to see you in a future recap video, and I would love to see you in a future stream and on the chat room as well. If you got any questions, leave them below. Let's go to the charts. All right, guys, welcome to the recap. So it's 11:50 now, a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we wrapped up trading about an hour ago. I was watching SGBX thinking, this could be the big bouncer, but we don't really know when, and we don't know how far it's going to pull back. Is it going to pull back to 2.5? Is it going to pull back to 1.5? Is it going to, bounce maybe at 3? It was just really, really hard to tell. So I kind of took the last stab at it on this big dip right here. We got in a little bit early. I got in at the 43, and then we kind of pulled back a little bit more. And then, I'll review this in a little bit, but kind of just watching it right now. I think honestly, getting into it right here at 11:30 as we kind of were consolidating and then kind of waiting. And then here we had a nice 5-minute breakout, 11:35. And then, so that's right here, pulling higher. And then buying that first 1-minute pullback here, I think would have been a good ticket. That would have been 5-10% profit on this move. Other than that, dip buying these you got to be really careful with. We had 1, 2, 3 dip buys. 3 of them worked, and one didn't. We luckily got out for a 2-cent loss, so it wasn't really too bad. 2 cents per share. So yeah, let's quickly recap here. SGBX, this was our lead gapper. Pulling up in the morning. 150%, then pulled back, not too bad. The furthest pullback was about a 25%. Right in the area, I always say I'm looking for around 25% pullback, nothing more than a 25% pullback. Ideally like 20 to 25%. So holding this VWAP area really nice, and then just explodes right here, 57%. I missed that move. Some of you guys in the chat room got that move, so good on you. But I missed it. I got this nice pullback here to 14. This was a near perfect entry, which is rare, but I think this was really, really nice. Then I sold on this bounce. Could have been a more profit. I only entered with 220 shares, so this was only like, I don't know, it was like a $920 position size, which is a little unfortunate because this one, it could have been a nice $300 profit if I had like a full allocation on it. So kind of left a lot of money on the table on this one. But SGBX, I'm kind of surprised it pulled back so hard because they had strong quarter 4 results. They had coronavirus testing products that were out, just a lot of activity, and a lot of the other lead gappers weren't really pushing. So I thought SGBX was going to actually have a little bit more behind it. So just a lot of selling off here, recent reverse split in this area. And yeah, today was the first big green day, and it just absolutely did not hold its highs. It ran up here to around 6.2 roughly. I could have swore, it was going to maybe have another 20% in it. Maybe it's 7.25. It could have even broke past this area, but I felt like this was a little bit premature, this dip, and that's why I got aggressive on it. I knew that the sell-off was strong though. This was a 20% dip, and then again we had about a similar move, 20% dip again. So that overall this was about a 32% dip. I don't know. I was kind of cautious after I saw this. This was a really aggressive sell-off, and I still feel like it kind of was a little bit unprecedented. Like where did that come from? Just a lot of sellers. Right now we're up about 81% on the day, And this could have been a really good trade, but I don't know. After 11 o'clock, I don't want to really be trading anymore. We luckily got a few nice ones out of this one. I kind of regret, I would say, out of all three of these trades, this one the most. The entry wasn't that great. It was at 47, which wasn't that bad, but it wasn't phenomenal. Well, actually, it was. Now I look at it, it's actually not that bad at all. But we could have had a 43 entry, and that's kind of the one I wanted. So that's why I feel like it wasn't the best, just because I had a really strong conviction internally that, we're going to see probably it pull to the lower 40s. But I left my limit order there. And actually, I was moving my limit order down when the price crashed. And then we had that quick entry. So I don't know, kind of weird. We consolidated in this area. I was so close to getting out, but I was only down about 2% in this area, maybe 3%. And I was thinking, I could definitely hold this. Unless we really break here with volume, I would probably get out. So I decided to hold through this, and then we had a nice little 6% run up here. I was up about $50 on this trade right here, and I was looking to get out in the 70s, maybe like 4.73, 4.7. We hit 69. And then I was like, maybe I should get out. And then instantly we dropped 6%. I was like, oh, that's weird. Consolidated here. And then I was like, I'm out of this one. By the time we, got down here, I kept on saying in the chat room, like, guys, if this bounces, I don't know if it's going to be a big bounce. So I'd probably close for like a 5% profit or something like that. And that's kind of what I did here, but not nearly as much. I think I maybe closed this one for like a 1.5 or 2% profit on this one, and then here consolidated. Eventually we broke higher. This would have been the ticket, but I was no longer trading at this point. I was doing something else, or I try to wrap up my trading by 11. There is one really bad trade I really want to review today, TOPS, and this one's tough because Tops was a lead gapper a few days ago. We had long-term chart, this thing's miserable, but, we had a nice big volume here. We had another volume candle here. So I was thinking, okay, this could pull back. And I always like to sometimes dip some of these bigger pullbacks, but, just check this one out. This is probably the worst sell-off I've ever seen on a stock. What number is this even? So we hit a high here of, let's say, I don't know, 2.6 trillion or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to count all the zeros, but right now, or ever since about like what days this is, like 08 and goes back to almost 07, and it's been selling off ever since. Reverse splits, shady financing, reverse splits, shady financing, and I should have been a bit more cautious probably on the fact that there's a good chance that there was going to be some shady stuff going on. And guess what? Lo and behold, $8 million registered direct offering priced at market, and I think there was even another one that was priced at like 20 cents. I was going through it right here. Public offering of 2 cents per share, 20 cents per share. So let's go here. Let's check out what happened. I had a leftover limit order from the day before, and that was the first mistake, because this is a gap and go challenge account. This is not a dip buying, see what happens account. So TOPS, I had a limit order here around 3.7. I was looking for a double bottom, and this was actually the trade I wanted. So after I missed this one, I should have removed that limit order. And I was thinking, maybe we'll have a quick little dip here pre-market, and I will be able to get out of it. And I don't know, I really should have just removed it. I'm so disappointed in myself. Anyway, it was looking pretty good. We almost had this entry right here, and we hit a high of 0.63, and then a little bit later that news came out, and this stock just collapses from the high. Let me see here. From the high, it was about a 67% dip. This was so aggressive, and guess what? My limit order is still there, and we got an entry on this one. I did not see this bounce. I didn't come online till about 8. Or I didn't check the stocks till about 8. So I was already, working on a few other things, all day. I mean, I'm in Berlin right now, so I'm, 6 hours ahead of the US market. So I was doing stuff all day, but I wasn't conscious the fact that I was in this trade till about a little bit later here. And so it would have been nice to like close this trade out very quickly here, because, we could have walked away with, I don't know, like $100 loss, like a 10% loss or something, maybe even less. I don't even know what to say right now. And, what I did feel is that there was going to be a good chance that 0.2, because that was the public offering price, was going to hold. So I wasn't super nervous that 0.2 was going to crack, although it could happen. So I didn't average down. I was like, okay, you know what? this is why I allocate my account the way I do. So even if one trade totally just disappeared and I had no longer, like, that allocation was just gone, let's say, I don't know, the stock was delisted, which basically never happens in terms of when I'm in a trade, because we cut our losses. I'm in a trade on average like for 3 minutes, because this is a day trading gap and go strategy account. So, I mean, this is kind of like the longest I've ever been in a trade on this account. Well, okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe a handful of times I've been in a trade this long. But I didn't want to average down into this one, because, you know, you don't really want to average down into losers. It's a slippery slope. You know, this could have slipped past 0.2, and if it slipped past 0.2, before you know it, probably would have hit 0.15, and then who knows, maybe would have had a reverse split, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're down again, and then just before you know it, you're at like a 99% loss or something like that. That's how back holders are created. And I was like, okay, well, you know what, this is a big mistake on my end. I'm just gonna have to, you know, bite the bullet and accept the fact that this is a loss. I do think though, now I was thinking that sometime here at like 8:30, I do think though, or I did think at the time, that there was a good chance we're gonna hit this VWAP and at least have a retest here, see how high we can go. So I placed the limit order near that, and then right before the market opened, we got out here at 2.4, which, you know, was okay. At least I didn't sell here, because that would have been a $500 loss, which is like 50% loss on this position size. This is a percentage-wise, this loss is pretty big. This is a serious loss. Right afterwards, you know, I had a really nice run up. I could have maybe considered holding, but again, that's a very slippery slope to go down, you know, wishing and hoping maybe it's going to go up, maybe it's going to go up. And then before you know it, like a week goes by and you're down way more than you would have been down here. So I just decided, you know, this is my day trading account. This is not a, you know, wishing and hoping investing account. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my account, or this trade. This time it didn't pay off, but there's so many times, and you know, the way we've been able to grow this account, the way we have, and we're getting close to doubling the account now, is basically taking profits when we have them and cutting losses quickly. That's just the essence of trading. You know, we have a lot of trades where, you know, we'll be up 10-15%, and then I'll get out of the trade, or I'll be down 1%, or I'll be, you know, up 5%. And I close the trade. I'm like, I got what I wanted, or it's not really working out anymore. I'm out of this one. And then sometimes the stock rips up 100%. You know, that happens every now and then, but you just don't know, because most of the time that move is over and the stock is going back down to Neverland, and I don't know. So if I kept on, you know, wishing and hoping on all those trades, most times I would be wrong, and then over time that would really hurt my account growth, and most likely it would start being a negative account growth. So I don't really regret the way I traded this one, because yes, I mean, yeah, in hindsight, it's like, oh, well, I could have, you know, held on to this a little bit longer, but you just don't know. And you can see this was really just kind of like a serious bounce, because it was just oversold, I guess, at this time temporarily, but I'm pretty sure this thing is going back down, and you don't really know if this continuation is going to happen here, or if there's going to be a little bounce first. And, you know, this time, yeah, would have paid to hold it a little bit longer. Luckily though, you know, because the way I allocate my account, I'm doing about 6 trades. I try to plan for this account, so I split it up into 6 portions. So right now that's about, I don't know, $150 per trade, a little bit less, more, yeah, almost 150 or $1,050 per trade. So yeah. This one was actually a little bit more allocated, but you kind of get the point, because it was at 6,500. And that way, even if that trade just totally disappeared, you know, it doesn't blow up our account or anything like that. And at no point was I ever super stressed about this trade. I was like, yeah, of course it sucks, but that's, you know, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you get halted in on the way down or something like that. You know, sometimes you have these flash crashes. Sometimes this happens, that happens. But sometimes, you know, you also have like a beautiful 100% winner trade, which is also not exactly what you were planning for. So these things even out. And I think the main takeaway on this one is, one, I wasn't really trading my strategy. I kind of had a leftover trade here that I didn't remove, and that was one big mistake on my end. And the second thing that I did right is just, you know, good thing that I allocated properly. You know, what if, you know, that one time you're like, this is definitely going to be the winning trade, I'm going to go all in, and that's the one that gets halted on the way down, right? And all of a sudden you're down 30%. That's why you don't go all in on a trade. You always want to have proper allocation. And I think that's been one of the big topics since the start of this challenge, is how to properly allocate your account. And, because I was properly allocated on this trade, at no point I was devastated. I was never devastated. I was just like, okay, this sucks, but it's not the end of the day. And then actually our overall P&L is, not too bad today. We had some really nice trades, and, we're only down $229 today, which is really, really not that bad. What did I click on? I clicked on something here, back to active trader. So yeah, I mean, of course, this sucks because this trade could have been actually almost break even at one point. I don't know, maybe I would have lost like 50, $100 or something like that. But yeah, that happened. So really just a big mistake on my end, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I think there was some really good lessons to learn out of this one. So at least we were all able to learn a $391.51 lesson together, and I can share it with you guys. So yeah, let's keep moving on here. What do we got? We had some really interesting movers, and actually SPCB, let's quickly go to this one. SPCB was the big runner from yesterday. You guys probably remember it if you watched the recap or if you were on the stream. And this one was just absolutely on fire yesterday. It was the most clean small cap runner we have seen in a long time. We had a nice run, 100% run up here, consolidated, another 100% run up here, and we got a really solid trade on this one. Made about $200 on it, or a little over $200. We bought it pre-market, and then we rode this one up. Let me go back to my cash account. So what I was thinking yesterday, because we had some leftover trades, and this is kind of how I got into the bad tops position, is SPCB. I was waiting for a bounce on this one. I knew around 0.8 we had big, or $1, we had big support. And what I did was I just waited for this trade to, and the reason I'm recapping this trade from yesterday is because it happened after the recap. So I have not been able to recap this trade. But ultimately, I was waiting for this one to break $1, and I didn't know if it was going to break $1 and go to 80 cents or 70 cents. I didn't know. But when the volume kind of faded here and we started bouncing back to the upside, and then we broke above $1, I bought the pullback back to $1, and then my goal was to sell near this $1.10. That was kind of my goal. And this worked out really well. We made like $150 on this trade. Unfortunately, only I had a partial execution here, and then I just got out the rest near this high here pre-market. So this was a really nice quick trade, and well, not super quick because we got that partial execution, but account growth and everything is in the right direction, so it's really nice. Yeah, right here at 0.78, I was really thinking that SPCB, I kind of wanted to buy this one here. I probably should have done it. I think if I didn't do the TOPS trade, I would have done this trade, because now I was already down on a trade, so I didn't have that many trades left today, or I just had one left less than I would have. And I kind of always like to have at least 2 to 3 trades available for the day trading of the actual gap and go, the morning open. So I didn't have a limit order here, and it kind of pains me a little bit because I love these first big green day pullbacks to major support. And guess what? We even had the 180-day right below us as well. So really nice support line bounce here. And guess what? Just 30-something%. So pretty sweet though. So yeah, the SPCB was yesterday's lead gapper. SGBX, the one we talked about in the beginning, was today's lead gapper. We also had another lead gapper. What was that? PHIO. This one did not really do too much. I really just kind of sold off all day. I had one limit order here, or I wanted to enter this one, but this was such a big quick crash here. I never felt super comfortable entering it. Although, at 227, I really could have snagged this one. That could have been a nice 10% bounce. I don't know, not looking too healthy. It looks like it's just going to keep selling off. But, 60% gap in the morning was a pretty nice gap. It was just the way this one sold off. I was like, ooh, that's not what you want to see. So 60% gap, and then, down 29%. Now I would say 20 to 25% is kind of that, grace period. But once you start going past 25%, I've noticed that they just kind of continue selling off. So I was a little bit cautious. Plus, below VWAP, below 15-minute EMA, everything's kind of selling off. PHIO had a 2.27 million float, which is pretty nice, US biotech. And they had some positive immune therapy data results coming in. So I don't know, the catalyst and everything was there, but I think there must have been some, who knows, I didn't check the 10Q, so maybe they had some warrants or something outstanding, because their long-term chart is pretty rough. And
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Top. So this one's probably not going to go anywhere. A lot of these biotechs have a really rough long-term chart because these guys burn money so aggressively. And that's why they always have these offerings and these secondary offerings. They have warrants. They have all these things that constantly drive the price lower and lower. And that's why investing in biotechs is very risky, and it's not typically a good idea. But trading biotechs on a day of momentum can be very profitable. And that's typically what we focus on, the actual trading part. Yeah, so I don't know, interesting stuff here. And I don't know, most likely PHIO tomorrow is just going to be dead, and I don't think we're going to touch it again. We had VVUS. I was looking to trade this one all day today. This could be a big ripper at one point. We really found support here at 3.27, and we're kind of pulling up again. VVUS, we had several potential limit orders on this one. Big support here at about 3.2. I don't know. I wouldn't mind potentially entering this one, but again, I typically don't trade the evenings. I'm probably going to let this one slide, but this could just be the first really long consolidation phase, and we could see a second leg up. I would not be surprised, honestly. This thing could probably run to 5.5. But just, looking at in the past, a lot of the gaps here have been kind of like, short-lived. Well, actually, I don't know, it's a bit mixed. Like here you have, one big green day and then kind of sells off again. Here you have a bit more of a rally. So it's a bit of a mix. A lot of these stocks have muscle memory, so it's important to go back and look. Here we have a nice big one green day and consolidates, and then have rip up a couple more times. So interesting stock. I think there is probably a good chance we'll see this one tomorrow doing something. So I think that's everything to review for this video. The key takeaway is that proper allocation. I mean, today was a pretty good day trading day. It was just I messed up with a leftover limit order that I should have removed. It just should have never been there. And that was totally on me. But at least I was, I didn't just go in 100%. And that's helped me grow this account consistently. And yeah, everything is looking pretty good on the challenge. So I'm not really too worried. It was just, it was a tough way to start the day, I guess you can say. But not the end of the day. VVUS kind of running up here. This is fun to watch. All right, guys, that's everything for this video. Thanks for tuning in. It was really good fun trading with everyone today. The stream was a little bit better quality, so that was nice. I'll see you guys then first thing tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. I appreciate all of them. Subscribe if you're new. I would love to see you again in a upcoming stream or even upcoming recap in the chat room and so on. Leave any questions below, and I'll see you guys next time. Like always, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.